hentai.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to a special presentation of Anime Club After Dark. I'm your host, Sho, and joining me tonight we have Alex Senpai.
Penultimate episode, baby!
That is what we are going to be discussing in the 23rd episode of Vinland Saga. And in this episode, the Imperial Council is held.
In this episode, shit hits the fucking fan.
Oh, yes it does. Does it?
At the end.
I guess, kind of. It's more like a political standoff, like IQ 5000 versus IQ 5001, and let's see who wins. It's very much Death Note with the...
It's like Death Note.
There's two people staring at each other, but then like inside they're like having an essay of thoughts. But outside they're not speaking.
Actually, there's a lot of truth to that. It is a lot like Death Note minus the whole like Death Note aspect.
Exactly. The Death Note in Vinland Saga is a sword to the face, which is very blunt, but honestly, is there a difference? Not really. But
not as blunt as talking to you sometimes.
Love it. Thank you for that. So, talking about what happened in the actual episode, we begin the episode with council, blah, blah, blah. Not interesting. Then we cut to...
I mean, you say that, but it's kind of like the crux of what is going on.
I mean, like, they give out rewards, and then, like, people are whispering about the rumors about the king, and I'm like, that's great, we already know all this, blah, blah, blah. Let's move on. And then after all the introduction to the council, we cut to a scene of Thorfinn, who has been beat up by ACAD from the last episode.
Yeah, from the previous last couple episodes where they had their little duel.
He's just like stumbling in the snow like a loser. First of all, he's such a clown for just like fucking... He's like having a hangover on the streets, only it's from... fucking being beaten up. So he's a clown for just rolling around on the streets. And then he sees some stranger, and then there's like some glint in his eye, like, oh my god, it's you. And he runs after him. And at the moment, while I was watching the episode, I was like, who the fuck does he think this stranger was? Because my initial thought was he must think it's his dad, because his expression was like a newborn child learning how to speak. It was like, but the stranger was blonde, so clearly it was not his dad. And then, but after I rewatched the scene, I think it's clearly ACAD that he thought the stranger was. So, Thorfinn is going even more crazy than we already know he is. It's clearly his lowest point in his life. Well, okay, maybe not the lowest point in his life, but he's at a very low point.
Psychologically, for sure, he's at a low point.
Psychologically, probably the lowest point of his life, because he's been reduced to a, I don't know, fucking lump of meat just walking on two legs, because his brain power is literally zero. And then when he finally reaches a stranger, realizes it's not them, I find it so funny that he still was able to beat them up, even though he has completely beat up himself. Like, he's at his physical lowest and as well as mental lowest, but he can still kung fu his way out of that situation.
I also love like little temper tantrum like stance that he takes at the end of it, like, yeah, I beat him up.
Yeah, it was funny. So after that little scene, we cut back to the council where the actual interesting stuff happens. So we were looking forward to see what the king would do to Canute, given the circumstances. And the king decided to give Canute Mercia, which is a very bountiful and rich land. So that's a very interesting choice on the king's part. Clearly a very tactical choice, because the king recognized that he couldn't snub Canute, because then he would look like a complete backstabber because of the current rumors that are going around. So the king is clearly playing the game well, and it's good to see your opponents making good moves in this mental chess game. But when he gave Canute the territory, the smile that he had was so fucking creepy. That smile was like, I'm gonna kill you in your sleep. I'm like, oh man, honey, that's the smile I make. So I know.
That's a smile I've seen in my nightmares a time or two.
Yes, I know when a bitch be backstabbing.
But I think about that when I saw it, and it's like, yeah, that's kind of an anime thing. Like that whole Sasuke.
What do you mean?
Like yes, I did it.
What? Who's Sasuke-ing?
Talking about Ascalad, he's like, yes, I did it.
No, I'm talking about the king's smile.
Oh, the king's smile, yeah. Well, I mean, you think about it. So the king has that smile on it when he's on him when he says that he's gonna give Canute Mercia, and then Ascalad, also before he's told afterwards, or the king says afterwards what his decision is gonna be regarding Wales. Like Ascalad's sitting back, like, all right, I got this.
Yeah,
I'm Ascalad. I got this. But both of them are thinking the same thing, that they're on the winning side here at the same time, until the king speaks up and says, oh, by the way, we're going to fucking attack Wales in the springtime.
And then Ascalad's smile turns into a, what the fuck?
Oh my god, I shit my pants moment.
That was a very hilarious expression that he had when the king's like, I'm gonna attack your motherland, and Ascalad's like, no.
I don't know if that was intended to be comedic, but it certainly looked comedic to me.
It's like, it's so dramatic that it becomes funny. I mean, okay, it's like for like normal viewers, it may not be funny, but like since I've seen it multiple times, it becomes funnier the more times you see it.
Yeah,
like, you're not in the tense situation. You're just like, oh, I've seen this before, and then it gets really dramatic, and I'm like, aw, shit, that was really a lot of zooming in on a very detailed face, and I find that a little
I'll be honest, though,
I
see that face, and I want to make an emoji out of it for our Discord server.
Oh,
I really do.
That's a pretty good, I don't know if it'll work as an emoji, but it's a pretty good reaction image.
We shall see.
We shall see. So then we cut back to Thorfinn, who has been put in a cell where he belongs.
Fucking belongs.
He's clearly an uncontrolled beast roaming the streets. He needs to be locked up. And Leif Erikson finds him in the cell, and Leif is like, I've been looking for you. Why'd you run away? I need to talk to you. And then Thorfinn responds with, what I do is none of your business. So step off, Dad. And then Leif, oh my god. So I don't know why Thorfinn is such a rebellious child and doesn't want to talk to his surrogate father.
I mean, I know why. It's because he's become so obsessed and consumed with this concept of revenge, and he thinks, like, if I don't do it now, I'm never gonna do it.
Don't do what now? Oh, you mean kill Ascalad?
Yeah, kill Ascalad. Get revenge that he's been seeking for fucking years at this point.
So I think he's been using his beef with Ascalad as a beard to cover up.
Don't say it. Don't
no.
You dare say it.
You know where I'm going with this, but I'm not going to go there. No, his beard... to cover up his emotional trauma. He doesn't want to face his emotions by going back and like actually talking out his loss and his feelings with his mom and his sister about his dead father. He doesn't want to face his emotions, so he's like, I don't want to deal with this, So I'm just going to fight all day, all night. And did that rhyme? Okay, anyways.
Were you trying to make it rhyme?
I'm going to duel Askeladd all day, all night, and I'm not going to think about all the problems I have in my head.
It's kind of it's sort of that same thing where for some people, it's how they deal with grief. Like, where some people, when they have like their parents die, especially if they were really close to them, instead of confronting their emotions and their loss head on, they'll make themselves incredibly busy so that they don't have time to think about it. I think it's sort of that same thing where Thorfinn, still years later, hasn't really gotten over the death of his father. And so to compensate for that, he just has this fantasy of revenge against Askeladd. He has this picture in his head of what it's going to be like, and it's going to be so great, and everything's going to be perfect once I get my revenge. And it's something that this particular part of Vinland Saga is doing really well. It's kind of displaying something that's seen in fiction a lot, showing the self-defeating principle that can be revenge.
Yeah, definitely. And it's definitely a fantasy, because what he's seeking, he's not going to get by winning a duel with Askeladd.
He's only ever going to come to terms with it by actually confronting his loss head on. And it's what Leif is trying to tell him to do. Go back home. Go see your mother. Go see your sister. Fucking face up to this. Like, you've never like come to terms with what you lost.
Exactly. And your description of that reminded me that Ylva actually did the exact same thing as Thorfinn by covering up her emotions by making herself busy. So, like sister, like brother. They're all the same person. Like I've been saying this entire time. That's going to be the final episode, is that they're all actually the same person. Or they're all related.
Conspiracy!
Anyways, yeah. So, Leif goes on this whole monologue and is like, okay, Thorfinn, I don't care what you say. I don't care what you think. I know the right thing is to bring you back to your mommy, so that's what's going to happen, bitch. And hell yes, Leif, I agree. Like, you don't have to listen to this whining baby who's crying all day. You know what's right. So you need to, like, pack the Pampers, pack the milk bottle, and bring baby back to home. So I'm proud of Leif for manning up and becoming a real father.
Even though he wasn't there for most of the kid's life.
He was looking. It's not his fault that baby ran away.
It's true.
Baby learned to walk so fast.
It kind of makes me feel bad for Leif, because like all these years he's been looking for Thorfinn to make good on a promise he made to his mother and his sister, and like he finally accomplished that. He finally found Thorfinn again, and Thorfinn's like, no, leave me the fuck alone, old man.
Well, at least you found him. I mean, It's not like I understand what you're saying, but Leif is still knows where to look for him.
Yeah. I don't know. It just makes me feel kind of bad for him, because you got to think that all these years he probably hasn't devoted all, like every waking moment of his life to finding Thorfinn, but probably a significant amount.
Yeah. Well, guess reuniting, or I guess everybody's fantasy is not playing out how they're wanting it to. Because this is not going to be a happy ending kind of story.
I don't think so.
It's going to be sad, and everybody's going to be disappointed, and no one's going to get what they want, because everybody's going to die. Probably. So, after the whole prison scene, we flip back to the council, where we have like this whole spiel of Askeladd's inner thoughts about all the bullshit that's going on. One of the things that he says in his mind is that he's surprised that the king knew about his connection to Wales, which, like, I don't know why he's surprised, because the first time he met the king was like, I know you were born from that man, I think, or woman, from that heritage. The king was like, I know where you come from. And Askeladd was like, "You don't know nothing."
Well, the king
fit.
says that he knew his mother was a slave.
I don't know if it says that in those exact words, but sure, we can go with that. I interpreted that he knew, like, the particular slave.
Maybe.
Wait, but then why would he know that Askeladd was born from a slave?
Dun dun dun.
Wait, what?
I don't know. I mean, you brought this up. You tell me.
Okay. In my mind, it makes more sense that he knows that Askeladd was born from a particular slave because, I mean, I'm sure he is somewhat well known for having his father be killed and inheriting the stuff, right?
I can imagine that he'd be known for that. Yes.
So that makes sense. Like, I know you because there was a whole thing with your family, but like, I don't know how he would know if he didn't know the particular person that he was, and he only knew that he was the son of a slave. I don't know where he would get that from if he didn't know particularly who it was. So my assumption is, from that first scene when Askeladd first met the king, that the king was like, "I know you." So then later on in this episode, when Askeladd's like, "How do you know me?" I'm like, but the king already knew you, and you knew that the king knew you. I don't know. I'm clearly missing something, but I don't know why Askeladd was surprised. And then Askeladd is like, "The king wouldn't mobilize an army just to piss me off." And I'm like, bitch, are you kidding me? Of course the king would mobilize an army.
This entire thing has been one mind game after another. Why wouldn't you think he'd use this as a mind game against you?
Yeah, of course. The king, we already know that he has an IQ of 1 million. So clearly, the king is willing to mobilize an army just to deal with you.
Big brain IQ
you
time.
You are a big problem. And the king doesn't like problems. So I don't know why Askeladd was surprised by that. Clearly losing his touch with reality.
I also like the fact that he has like this whole brain blast thing during this.
Oh my god.
Where you just, this is a fucking silhouette of him in profile, and you just see his brain like pulsating. I'm like, girl.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's hilarious. That was
fucking like Jimmy Neutron brain blast. Like,
yeah.
Think.
Mm-hmm. And so Askeladd was trying to think of ways to deal with the fact that the king has wants to attack Wales, and he's like, "Oh, I have to do this now. I have to rearrange this. I have to do this." And all of the solutions he came up with were all things he had to do in the short future, which was exactly what the king wanted, that for Askeladd to make a move now while he doesn't have the full support of the people, so that the king can come up. Like, if there's a confrontation right now, the king would win because the people are still they're still on the king's side.
Yeah.
So,
or at least all the noble people that are gathered there at the council would be.
Yeah.
Presumably.
So now Askeladd is falling into the king's plan by thinking of short-term solutions to this problem. So now the ball is in the king's court, and I do enjoy this flipping of the tables. That is, it's really well done. I do like it. It's very mental math.
I've always said, like, these political stories are so much better when it's people like very witty, intelligent people going up against each other in battles of wits, more so than like, you know, battles of attrition or just actual fighting, because this is so much more fun to watch. Like, yeah, visually an actual fight may be more fun to see, but this is so much more fun to watch play out.
Yeah, and this show does have some good fights, but I agree, the mental battles are definitely becoming more entertaining, definitely more interesting to watch.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons I love Death Note. I mean, you mentioned it before, but the fun of watching Death Note is not the violence that's in it, because there is some violence in Death Note, and it's not the rare fight that you see where there's blood spilt. No, it's the mental games between the main characters.
Yep, and that's literally the whole. Well, not the whole. A major appeal point of Death Note is the mental tension between the two main characters.
And it's certainly been a huge selling point of Vinland Saga since ACAD's introduction, I would say.
Definitely. And it's only gotten more and more intense the closer we have gotten to the last episode.
And now we're right on the last episode's doorstep.
Yep. So we end this episode with ACAD kneeling in front of the king with the weirdest smile on his face. And we've seen very ambiguous expressions given by ACAD before. And this is another one of those very ambiguous expressions, because I have no idea that smile meant.
I can tell you what I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think that smile represents him realizing what the end game has to be, and he knows what he has to do to achieve it now. That's that smile. It's almost like a very reassured smile. Like, I've seen the end. And I know what I have to do now.
He doesn't look too confident though. He looks like confused. To me, he looks confused.
Listen,
he looks like he doesn't know what to do.
as much conniving and as duplicitous as ACAD has been to many people throughout the course of this story, I mean, him putting on an act in front of people should be no surprise to anyone.
I don't think it was an act. I think that was more meant for the viewers than for the people in the room. But
maybe you could be right.
It could be.
I don't know. I think there may be several ways to interpret that smile, and it kind of depends on what comes next, really.
I guess so. Feel free to email us what you think that smile means. So thank you all out there for dropping in to listen to us. We hope you enjoyed it, because we sure enjoyed bringing it to you. If you want to check out previous episodes of the podcast, you can find us on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, and Spotify. If you want to keep up with what we're doing, you can join us on Discord, Facebook, Twitter, and our website. Shoot us an email if you have any questions or ideas about what ACAD is going to do in the last episode. Or if you have ideas for topics you'd like us to talk about in the future. Links to all these things are down below in the description. I have been your host, Sho, and I will see you next time. Say goodnight, Alex.
I just, I could sit here and I could try to do that smile. I could try to impersonate that smile, but what would be the point? No one can see it.
Honey, I make that smile every time I take a shit.